Hello and welcome to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy,
And I'm Claire.
and we're here to talk about some of the disturbing things that go on in the world, past and present. We feel like not knowing doesn't mean the crazy doesn't exist.
So we're going to scar you with the knowing.
Enjoy. You alright?
Yes.
You sure?
No.
So today we're going to bring you a different kind of case. Yeah, kind of little mini cases where we've found them entertaining for one reason or another, but not enough to turn into a full episode. So we combine them. Before we do that, I'll give you the John Eisman update. We did that case last year for...
Which one?
It was our 4th of July special last year. He was accused of murdering his daughter's boyfriend for selling the daughter into sex slavery. And then turns out they were all a bunch of meth heads. Daughter was not sold into sex slavery. She decided to ditch her boyfriend and go off with some dudes.
I remember.
An update on him. He is still awaiting trial. His trial has been continued several times. And when I was counting through, it looked like it's been continued 11 times. And as of July of 2024, his trial date is set for September 9th, 2024. So keep you posted.
It's a weird update. Your update is there is no further update.
The update is the shit is still dragging out. He's still in jail on I think it was $1 million bond.
So he's saving up.
Maybe working for them pennies in the jail. So our first mini case, our when is 2022. Our where is South Carolina. On Saturday, May 7th, 2022, in Trenton, South Carolina, a call came in to alert authorities about what appeared to be an unconscious man on the ground in a backyard. Police go out and they find the body of 60-year-old Joseph Anthony McKinnon. Sadly, he was already deceased. With no signs of foul play, the police send Joseph's body to the coroner for an autopsy. Turns out, he suffered a massive heart attack and died in his backyard while doing landscaping for a new water feature that he was installing. So police begin the daunting task of attempting to notify Joseph's next of kin. And during this process, they realized Joseph's live-in girlfriend, 65-year-old Patricia Dent, was also reported missing. Now, a side note on the couple, Joseph had previously been married, and while his wife was dying, I believe, of cancer, he started an affair with his now girlfriend, Patricia. I think that's super messed up.
It's super messed up, but sounds like he got what he deserved.
Well, now with the sad situation of Joseph's been found dead, and it's becoming more complicated because his live-in girlfriend, Patricia, is now a missing person. Police are like, all right, something's going on here. They go back out to the house of Joseph and Patricia to investigate the now missing woman.
Wait, hold up. So they found him dead and in turn found out she was missing, or she was missing and then they found him dead?
She was reported missing after they found him dead.
Okay.
And when I first read that, I thought...
She done it.
Yeah, I thought maybe she poisoned him and then took off. So once police officers enter the home, they found blood splatter in the house. And they were like, all right, so there was no blood or no injuries on Joseph. So what the heck's going on? They go back out to the yard where Joseph was digging, and they just kind of push around with the dirt a little. And they discover a black plastic bag. The officers tear open the bag and find the remains of Patricia Dent. She had been bound, bruised, and murdered. Police believe after a physical altercation between Joseph and Patricia, after he beat her and tied her up, he then strangled her to death, wrapped her remains in the trash bags, and then dropped her body into a hole in the backyard. Due to the physical exertion of trying to hide Patricia's body, halfway through burying her remains in nearly instant karma, he fell dead from a heart attack.
It's hilarious. But dude, everybody in your story's dead.
A sick side note, Joseph's son lives in that house.
Oh, what?
Once everybody was keeled over and dead, he moved in.
Oh, Andrew, that sounded like he actively lived there. Like he was there just upstairs gaming on his Xbox, and he listened to one murder, and then his pa just died outside. I was going to say.
No. Although that could totally happen in my house. I could be dead somewhere and my kids wouldn't notice. The older ones, that is. They'd notice when their tummies were grumbling and there was nothing to feed them.
I don't know what to say to that, because I was going to say they'd notice the smell, but no offense. Dear boy in the basement. I know you're going to need to cut that out.
No, I don't.
I was like...
But I thought that was crazy. The part that I found frustrating with that case, I couldn't find if Joseph had a criminal history of like domestic violence or just anything about him. So I would assume that means that he doesn't have a big rap sheet or anything crazy, just not a good feller, and apparently lost his shit and killed his girlfriend. I thought it was messed up that he cheated on his wife with her.
It would have been funnier if he didn't die of a heart attack, but he died of like low blood sugar because he hadn't eaten in a few days because he couldn't figure out how to turn anything on in the kitchen. Like, first his wife tragically died, then when he replaces her quickly. I mean, it'd be interesting to know what they argued about, and I will never know, but
yeah,
I just think it'd be funnier. He hadn't eaten in days, and his son lived upstairs. We're both so weak.
But that's Joseph McKinnon. What do you got for us, Claire?
Well, I've got one where we're going to head to Italy in 2021, and I'm just going to spoiler it for you. I picked one where the lady dies too.
Oh.
And I think it's funny, yours is 2022, mine's 2021.
We're going backwards.
Anyway.
All right. It was not necessary, ma'am.
Okay, so I bring you Vito Cangini. Yeah, I think I said that wrong. Vito Cangini. He's 80 years old, and his wife, Natalia, who's 61. Now, mind you, Vito's wife is a Ukrainian wife. I don't know if it was like one of the mail order things, but it's weird that they notated that she's from the Ukraine. So I don't know how they met. Not that it's important. It's just she's got a really long last name.
So you ain't going to practice your readings today?
So not going to offend anyone of the Ukrainian lineage. Anyway.
Just by calling them Ukrainian. All right.
Fuck you, Andrew. Damn it. This is why I can't ever get through a case.
Got hundreds of them you'd have.
Anyway.
Go ahead.
So these two will be married 17 years and would go into a December Sunday night like any other in their home.
How old are they?
Would you clean out your ear holes? Vito is 80. Natalia is 61.
They got married late. I'm guessing not a first marriage for either one of them.
I don't know.
Because that means she was like in her 40s and he was in his 60s when they got married, if they've only been married for 17 years.
Some of us have been married more than once. Anyway, Vito would start the evening off giving Natalia the old eye.
The brown eye?
I don't know what your evenings partake in, but no. He was batting his peepers at her, wanting to do the nasty, the old bumpin' uglies, hide the pickle.
The pickle tickle.
They would agree to partake into some sexual activities. So Vito would pop his little blue pill, but during that hour-long wait for his Viagra to kick in, Vito and Natalia would get into a fight. Now Natalia would be all, yeah, you know what, forget that. I am not in the mood any longer. Now this infuriates Vito because he only gets 6 a month. I just kidding. I don't know.
That's it?
Yeah, it turns out, most insurance, if they pay for Viagra, they'll only cover 6 a month.
I guess whoever decided that number was real upset.
Hey, on a side note, we've got a pharmacy or a pharmacist in the pharmacy, surprise there, that I don't know what her problem is, but she will seriously be on the dot of, it is too early to fill this. Come on, lady. Like, really?
That is a lady that's quick to say no to her significant other.
Well, mind you, I understand it because there's this one feller who filled 90 days worth of his Tadalafil, which is the generic Cialis, right? 3 times in March. He has 9 months worth.
Of Viagra?
Of the other one, Cialis.
I don't know what that is.
It's just like another penis hardener.
Like a Viagra?
Yeah, like it's another brand.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yes, because he did it under a coupon. He filled 90 tablets 3 times in March. He could take 1 a day for 90 days. He did that refill 3 times. You can't convince me that fella wasn't selling it. Either that or he's just walking around with a hard dick all fucking day and it's going to fall off. Anyway, that has nothing to do with Vito. Well, sort of
kind of. But you know what? If he's 80, I feel like 6 times in a month is a lot for him.
Unless he's got heart problems. Anyway,
they fought.
They'd get into their fight. Natalia is just like, yeah, fuck that. But Vito already took that pill, so he is furious that it's going to waste, and would fly into a rage, accusing Natalia of being more interested in her boss than in him. And he would stomp into the kitchen, grab a knife, and then go back to Natalia and stab her in the chest.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how they say that there's some women that PMS so bad that they are out of their right mind or have like postpartum psychosis or whatever, like their hormones are so out of whack that they're temporarily insane. I wonder if that works for the menfolk when their penis is hard. Is he temporarily insane?
Maybe he should have been his defense attorney. He had so much blood rushing to his penis, there wasn't enough to supply his brain. He was out of his mind. There wasn't enough.
It was a crime of literal passion. He wanted to stab her with his penis, and she said no.
Adria.
Sorry.
Well, he got it in her.
Ew, he had sex with her body?
No, the knife. You just said he wanted to stab her with his penis.
Yeah, and you said he got it in her, and so I assumed.
Because he stabbed her in the chest. Anyway, so the next morning, Vito would get up like nothing ever happened, and even would go down and make him some breakfast, take his dog for not 1, but 2 strolls. But by the afternoon, I think it's starting to occur to him that, his wife's body is just on the floor in their bedroom and might need to have a plan.
He tried to drag her out and realized this bitch is heavy.
Well, he would confess to a neighbor he runs into on one of his strolls with his dog.
Oh.
The neighbor would be like, yeah, you should probably call authorities. He'd run into yet another person while he's out strolling and tell them he killed his wife, and that person too would be like, yeah, you should call the authorities, and might go on their merry way, which was baffling to me.
Yeah, in Italy, they sure are.
Hands off. Like, we're gonna not witness anything. But so neither the neighbor or the other lady that Vito runs into and confesses to call authorities. Instead of Vito taking their suggestion and calling the authorities himself, which seems like good advice, I guess, Vito would call the restaurant that his wife had worked at as a chef and tells the owner, so you're not going to be seeing Natalia again. And would even go as far as to say, I know there was something going on between you two, even though he does not. But the restaurant owner would call police, who would go over to the house, arrest Vito, because naturally they're going to find Natalia's body along with a knife. Now, Natalia had been stabbed 4 times, one of which had pierced her heart.
Oh.
Now, Vito would plead guilty, go to jail. He'd get sentenced to 24 years.
Good. He'll die in there. What was the life sentence for him? What's with, my brain just farted. Took a break. I don't know what I was about to say. Oh, I wonder what they got into a fight about.
So I know it was right before Christmas, so maybe
money was tight.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just late and they got into a fight because she got sleepy.
Yeah, I could go with that. Or he decided to take his little pill at like 10:50.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're all usually already in bed by 9:10, and you're choosing now. You put the moves on me at 6:30.
Let's face it, maybe he didn't put much effort into the moves. And she's like, yeah, I gotta go to sleep. And he's like, what?
Or his finger slipped into her butt.
Oh.
Although they didn't start anything. It says that they were making eyes. He took a pill, so I don't think it got that far anyhow. Or she made dinner, since clearly there was a knife out, and he wouldn't stop harping on it being,
he didn't like it,
disgusting, or it got burned or something, because they were too busy eyeballing each other to keep tabs on what's brewing in the kitchen.
It's not seasoned right.
Or she thought she was making his favorite dinner, and it turned out it wasn't. So then he's just like, whose favorite dinner is it? And then she's like, you have problems. You literally ate this 3 weeks ago. And then he was like, I've never had this before in my life. You literally have. I've made it several times before. We've been married 17 years. I've made it before. And he's like, no, you haven't. I hate this thing. How do you know you've always hated it if I've never made it?
You right there?
I'm sorry.
Didn't know we were getting a puppet show.
I don't know any of that happened. But just saying is all. Could have been a thing.
So it sounds like... Don't complain about Claire's cooking. Nobody. Dave. Warning you.
Well, I'm just saying there's nice ways you can do about it. Not saying.
For sure. The other day, I cooked some pork chops, and then Jason waited like 5 hours later to finally eat it, and he was complaining that it was too dry, but he had microwaved it for like 2 minutes, and it was like, I could have just given him a raw friggin' pork chop, because if you're going to cook it for 2 minutes in the microwave, it's going to come out like pork jerky, and come on now. And he's like, it's disgusting.
I'm sure it was.
And then he had the nerve at 9:30 at night to be like, can you make me something else? And I was like,
no. Here's your bowl of cereal.
I don't know what to tell you. So
add as much milk as you want to.
I got docked a few wife points on that one. I didn't have a backup dinner ready. What the hell is that shit? Anyway. So this case, I could have made it longer, but I'm not opting to make light of a very serious situation.
No, but you're making it longer now.
Of neglect and abuse. Our win is November 2023. Our where is San Antonio, Texas. Amanda Mann was 31 years old, and she was a mother of 6. Ugh. Her oldest child was 8. Then she had a 6-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and her youngest were 2-month-old twins.
Are you telling your story?
They lived in an RV where Amanda reportedly gave birth to the twins, who had never received medical care. So realistically, there's no record of their birth.
Did any of their children?
So I think the older ones did. The state of the RV was described as deplorable conditions. Now, the details are not important. Don't get lost in the details. And in reality, they're not really known yet because, spoiler, this case has not gone to trial. But in early November 2023, a 1-year-old little girl suffered severe burns to her entire body. When I say to her entire body, I literally mean her entire body. Her head, her face, her arms, her hands, her back, her chest. Her entire body is engulfed in burns because boiling water was poured on this little girl.
The hell?
Rather than take the 1-year-old to the hospital, Amanda and her boyfriend, or baby daddy, Dustin, decided to put burn cream on the tiny child because they thought she might be in pain.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
How did they spill boiling water on her?
We'll get there. This genius pair decided to help their 1-year-old with her pain. Dustin decided to inject her with meth to help her sleep.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Now, I'm not the most creative parent at bedtime. I've heard of singing lullabies, read a book, maybe some melatonin.
You mean there's no parent guide of if they're struggling and they've got burns, inject the meth? You can inject meth? I thought that was heroin.
I don't know, but I've never heard of giving kids meth to help them sleep.
I thought you smoke meth.
Okay, so maybe I'm inaccurate on the way they administered it. They gave her meth. I don't know. I don't do the drug-ins. They gave her meth, okay?
Unless it's the next twitchy person I see.
It's like our mom saying people that smoke weed are sniffing the weed. Turns out, I don't know.
Hold up. You said earlier you used to think our mom was smart.
That was around the time that I realized she was not. But I never heard of giving kids meth to get them to go to sleep.
It's not a thing. It's not an off-label use of it.
But I thought meth was an upper.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a use. It's not a recommendation. Nobody goes, I'm having real trouble sleeping. I am going to take an amphetamine.
So this genius pair apparently gave her enough meth that she's now unconscious.
That's called ODing, and it's not sleeping.
They tucked the unconscious 1-year-old into her bed for the night and carried on with life as normal. High fives all around for quick thinking and meth for all.
I don't even know what to make of that. I just picture them over the crib, which is like a beat up piece of thing with like a dead rat in the corner or some shit, and they're just gathered around their boiled baby, just like, oh, look how calmly she sleeps. Never mind that foamy vomit at the corner of her mouth.
Well, I think it's cute that you think she was actually in a crib.
With rats?
I picture her on the floor with them.
It's not a nice It's not a nice crib I was picturing.
So the next day, they pull back the sheets to check on the little girl, and this poor baby's skin had attached itself to the sheet. So when they peeled it back, it peeled her flesh off, her little malnourished body.
We need more meth!
So, still not wanting to go to the ER, they decided to contact a friend later that evening.
What the fuck?
So we've crossed into the evening of the next day.
How are they putting diapers or anything else on her? Because I imagine everything hurts.
So
they just keep loading her up with meth.
So I think it's cute that you think that they're caring for her.
Is she just diaperless, just dropping turds everywhere?
I think it's more like they just left the same diaper on the poor baby. But anyway, so they contact the friend that evening and ask for some help because, shockingly, the meth was not a cure-all for this poor baby.
You don't say.
The friend convinced this brilliant couple to take their 1-year-old to the hospital, which they finally did, but they waited until the meth had overdosed the little girl so much that they had to do chest compressions to get her breathing again.
What the fuck?
So they bring the baby into the hospital and said that she had accidentally been burned in the bath.
And she accidentally injected herself several times with this here meth. She's real advanced for her age.
I don't think that they told the hospital that they gave the baby meth. So later they said a pot of boiling spaghetti had burned the child.
Was it spaghetti?
Like I said, I don't know the truth on this because realistically the 1-year-old can't say what happened to her, and Tweedledee and Tweedledum aren't going to sit here and tell the truth, obviously.
That sucks even worse than water, because at least the water comes off, but like...
a hot noodle sticking.
Any sort of sauce.
I don't know. Well, an average 1-year-old girl should weigh roughly 23 pounds. This little baby weighed 18 pounds. So she's severely underweight. And after abandoning the baby at the hospital, Dustin and Amanda went on the run. I know you might be thinking, what about the other 5 kids in the RV? They left the 8-year-old in charge of the other toddlers.
Makes sense. It's more responsible.
The 2-year-olds, the 6-year-old, the 2-month-old twins. Yeah, the 8-year-old can take care of them. Eventually, they tracked down Amanda Mann and her boyfriend Dustin Lawrence the following day. They were arrested on a slew of charges. The kids were obviously taken by the state, and at least one of the other children tested positive for meth as well. And as of December 5th, 2023, both Amanda Mann and Dustin Lawrence are being held on $450,000 bonds, which neither one of them have been able to pay. But nobody dies in that one. I just thought it was scarring that that little girl had her flesh literally boiled off, and then her parents decided to give her meth until she OD'd and stopped breathing.
Meth is not the cure-all.
Yeah.
I would think that if you spelt boiling spaghetti, any of that, and it was real bad, that can be explained. You'd go to the ER. However, it does make me curious, since there was meth in the house, of maybe they were cooking it. They don't seem like they have regular jobs. Just stereotyping. But maybe that's why they didn't take her, because whatever cooking they were doing, he was cooking, it just wasn't a pot of spaghetti.
I don't know how they cook meth, but I would assume, I know that like the meth labs explode, but
well,
that didn't
might
happen.
Be towards the end area. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe in the earlier stages before it gets to the exploding stage.
Maybe.
I've just heard when like they'll do like test places where they're cooking meth, like the kids' clothes, all that, it'll have it all on it because like the fumes and everything. And I think that's what ends up exploding. So if White's in, and I'm just assuming at some point, since if there's brake cleaner and stuff going in there, it's at a liquid state before they're doing their cooking. Maybe that was like a turn and it's boiling brake fluid kind of thing, and you can't exactly say that it was pasta sauce when clearly you can tell it's not. And that's why they didn't want to take her to the ER.
No.
And they're like, maybe we can just give her some more.
I don't know where they would have given or been cooking it, because if it was in the RV, but if it was in the RV and there's any sort of fire burning, it'd be different kinds of burns on the little girl.
I don't know how you make meth, but maybe while they were warming it, their chemicals up.
But chemical burns, I don't know.
It wouldn't be a chemical burn. It would still be burning because it's hot.
Maybe.
Like, because a chemical burn is because it's a reaction to your skin, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
And they could have been boiling water because maybe when they make meth, they don't want to ruin their fancy pans. So they put the container inside of a pot. Like when you boil wax for your mustache.
You just crossed over to crazy lady here, because I don't think that's the case at all.
I don't know. I just saying is all. I feel like she got burned while they were cooking meth, and that's why they didn't want to take her, because they are not very good at the lying, because they're tweakers.
I could see that.
Which is also why they probably went on the run, because they were like, they're going to figure it out. Go.
Probably. Well, that's all I got.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Sharing is caring.
It's real extra dangerous for me to have to come up randomly with ideas to drag this shit out because evidently I just talk shit. This is Homicide Hobbies with also life therapy and confessions
of the non-rich and famous.
Of the hopeful.
That was a lot of different
fuck-upperies.
Yeah, it's quite the variety of criminals.
A collection.
Yeah.
It's a charcuterie board of
criminals.
Bullshit. Thank you for listening to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Claire.
I'm Andy.
Follow us each week to get your fix of the atrocities that occur in true crime. And don't forget to tell people about us and rate us if you like us. But don't rate us if you didn't. Just change the channel.